Focusing on the formative years of Kirk, Spock and crew, it is a prequel to the television show and breathes new life into a tired and worn formula in a manner not dissimilar to the way Batman Begins revitalised that series. The opening sequence, which shows the birth of Kirk, is a breathtaking spectacle and sets the tone perfectly. Kirk's misspent youth is as amusing as it is entertaining, and as we meet our future heroes at the Starfleet Academy whilst they prepare for their premiere voyage, it becomes apparent that no one has put a foot wrong in the making of this picture. Kudos must go to all the cast, who are as excellent as they are unknown. Zachary Quinto in particular is a revelation as Spock, a feat made no less impressive because for some of his screen time he plays opposite Leonard Nimoy, who made the role famous. Chris Pine brings the requisite charm to Kirk, and Eric Bana is suitably menacing as Nero. The star of the show, however, is undoubtedly Simon Pegg, who enlisted a round of applause at the screening I attended when he appeared on screen as Scotty. He is flawless and brings much humour and warmth to the proceedings. It may not be as edgy as, say, The Dark Knight, but that's not the point. Star Trek is a masterpiece in filmmaking that raises the bar and may very well eclipse that blockbuster juggernaut, The Dark Knight. Star Trek is out on the 8th of May. We implore you to boldly go and see it. Hey, we had to get at least one in.
I love the movie show.
Thanks very much, John. Lovely to meet you. Cheers. As you saw from our exclusive Star Trek premiere footage, there was only one member of the cast that we weren't able to speak to. So we're here today to rectify that. Please welcome to the movie show, Simon Pegg.
Thank you. I'm so sorry I didn't see you.
No, but my first question is kind of about that. In the reason we missed you on the red carpet was, of course, you were devoting your time to the fans, which, as a show by fans for fans, we massively respect that.
Yes.
How important are your fans to you?
Well, I think it's at those events it's always important to make sure you spend some time just signing and saying hi, because often people have travelled a long way and they've stood there for hours, and I've been at things before and missed people out and they've got quite upset. So it's good to, to obviously you have to do the press line because that's part of the reason why the thing's been put on in the first place. Yeah. But it's also nice to get over and also people shout at you.
Right.
You feel really bad if you don't go over.
And they're very aggressive as well, I noticed. As it gets on, it's like, sorry, man!
It's kind of frightening.
Yeah, no, it must be.
Yeah.
But generally the response you get from fans is a positive one as opposed to a stalkerish.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always found that, the people that are into our stuff have always been really sort of level-headed and cooler. Yeah. I think because they're similar to us in a way. Yeah. We're just... we just happen to be making the stuff that we like. We're just as much fans of that kind of cinema and TV as they are.
Cool. And something tells me that it wasn't the first time that you've ever worn a Star Trek outfit when you stepped on. What was it like trying on a real one for the first time?
It was really good. It was. I thought the wardrobe design in that film was superb, and the way those outfits, hark back to the originals, but at the same time had a contemporary feel. I mean. It was really well done, and when I first stepped onto the bridge and I saw Zoe for the first time in her uniform, I just thought, that is brilliant, because she looks cool and it doesn't look exploitative. It looks kind of, it's cool.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously, that I was a massive fan of the film, as I was of the show. Have you been surprised how universally positive the response has been to the film?
Yeah, I guess pleasantly surprised. I had a feeling it was going to be like that because. When we were making it felt like we were making something that was really good. I was frustrating me sometimes if I'd take a peek at the net and see people grumbling about it because that nobody knew anything about it, or it was just this assumption it was going to be somehow mishandled. And I think all the while JJ was someone who was always going to treat it well and do it a great service, which I think he has done.
Absolutely. I mean, it really couldn't have got a better response in that it seems to have pleased kind of fans and non-fans alike.
It's a delicate balance to strike between fans and non-fans. You can always go too far. The tendency I think sometimes is to try and pander to the fans almost too much in a way. Because they're a very vocal group, or a smaller group, but the vocal group. And the fans do need to be acknowledged and addressed, and I think they are in this film. But at the same time, it exists as a standalone adventure for people that aren't familiar with Star Trek. I mean, there's movies like Watchmen, which I enjoyed, but there's no doubt that is geared towards fans and fans only. There's no one's never heard of Watchmen is going to watch that and think it's a great movie. I think they would be utterly confused by it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as a fan of the book, it was great to see all those characters brought to life, and
exactly.
Which is odd. I mean, I think the thing there was that. The difficulty that I think Zack Snyder had there, who did a brilliant job, and it looks beautiful, was the fact that without that ending, without the teleporting squid, if I just drop a spoiler, the fans were actually going to be slightly disappointed, and they're mostly the ones that went to see it. So it's interesting that decision was made.
How much Star Trek did you have to watch to get Scotty's voice just right?
Well, I kind of just did an impression of my father-in-law. I didn't want to do an impression of James Doonan because I figured that would be disrespectful to him, and and also to presuppose that he was the character of Scotty. He, like me, as an actor who looked at the page and came up with the character there and then, and all of us felt that way about how we played the parts. Certainly Chris. Zach, I think, had probably one of the hardest jobs because he did have to embody something of Leonard Nimoy because Leonard's in the film. Yeah. But he still has his own take on the character, and in this film, Spock is slightly more at odds with himself, and with his half-human side. Slightly less in control than Leonard's Spock was.